This voice will speak to people's fears and to their desires to protect and preserve the self. And all those who choose out of fear to cling to the material and continue their support of a ruling elite who have proven their lack of caring for the world and its inhabitants will, by the quality of their own thoughts and emotions, be required to experience increasingly more hardships until such a time that they are willing to put their faith in the divine spirit rather than the corrupt institutions of man or his false gods. So what sort of events could unfold in the next few months that might bring the world to such a state of desperation that it would agree to uniting the planet under the authority of a new world order? Should events similar to those mentioned previously occur, it is possible that the desperation caused by global food shortages and the collapse of the world's economies could lead to worldwide pandemonium, as cities erupt in mass riots and looting, while people rise against each other and their governments in a desperate attempt to acquire food and resources for themselves and their families. This violence would be greatly compounded by the threat of nuclear war and invading forces that would be escalating around the world. Add to this the hysteria that would be caused if the earth was shrouded in 3 days of darkness that most people didn't know would end. And then add another devastating earthquake which would cause the meltdown of 30 nuclear reactors around the planet, whose radioactive waste would spill into the Earth's air and oceans. And then, at the point when the entire world seemed divided and at war with each other, and when the state of humanity seemed all but lost, we would hear news reports of a strange object approaching from space, which was previously thought to be Comet Elenin, but which upon its approach news reports would tell us is actually a spaceship. And to the world's surprise, from this ship would come fake alien invaders to attack the Earth, whose superior weapons and technology, actually created by our own world's military, would cause much damage and loss of life. And the world's leaders, professing themselves to be greatly overmatched, would have only one choice to save the planet, and that would be to unite the world's military forces. With the entire planet reeling from war and the effects of the devastating earthquakes caused by the prophesied approach of a purifier, people all over the world would be praying for a miracle, when all of a sudden their prayers would be answered. Somehow the Earth's allied forces would miraculously defeat the aliens in a staged final battle, seemingly through their own military might, or with assistance from other aliens, either real or fake, or even through the supernatural assistance of a false messiah-like figure. And when the world allied forces destroy the approaching ship, which was once thought to be a blue comet, we would see the fulfillment of the ninth and last sign of the Hopi prophecies, indicating that we have arrived at the end times, which reads, "You will hear of a dwelling place in the heavens, above the earth, that shall fall with a great crash. It will appear as a blue star. Very soon after this the ceremonies of my people will cease. For very soon afterward the red star Kachina will return, and he shall bring with him the dawn of the fifth world." With the alien threat defeated, a broken and battered humanity would still have to deal with the wrath and destruction caused by the approaching red star Kachina. And thus, in the wake of humanity's staged victory and in the face of oncoming threats, the world's united nations would, in a show of false goodwill, speak of the oneness of humanity and call for the unification of the world under a one-world government. All of the world's debts would be erased, and a new global currency would be created, of which everyone would be offered a set number of credits in exchange for their willingness to keep working for the self-same system of governance and authority. Anyone wishing to receive these cash credits, food supplies, and medical care from this one-world system would be required to get a microchip implant that would allow their movements and ID to be tracked. And all those who do not comply with the rules and regulations of the system would simply have their chip deactivated. And at the top of this new world order, at the capstone of its pyramid of control, would be the false savior, which could appear either as an alien being or as a luminous messiah-like figure who would perform signs and miracles so great that they may deceive, if that were possible, even the elect. And though this figure may have played a role in assisting humanity through its hardships, either with the fake alien invasion or by performing miracles of medicine and technology, its deception will be obvious. For rather than inspiring humanity to see the divine in all, this God with all its wonders and miracles would have humanity focus its worship on one supposedly divine being or institution, thereby reserving a space for the old world divisions of right and wrong, good and evil. And the worship of this thing would be most likely controlled by our present-day ruling elite and popular spiritual leaders who would place themselves in between humanity and this fake God. As fantastical as all this may sound, there is much compelling evidence that points to the possibility of such events occurring, even those as extraordinary as a fake alien invasion, a possibility of which is being planted in people's minds through the noticeably high number of alien invasion movies and television shows that have come out in the last year, including the recent National Geographic series called When the Aliens Attack, which shows how the world's military forces would face and defeat a hostile alien invasion, not if, but when it happens. And here it is essential to realize that compliance with the New World Order is a trap, just as surely as wishing harm upon those responsible for its creation, for both are reactions of fear. However, if one is able to remember that all of this death and destruction is actually serving a divine purpose of shifting us from a material-based consciousness to one founded more on spiritual awareness, then we may break away from the fearful reactions of compliance and resistance and take our first steps down the path towards the original way, mentioned in the Hopi prophecies, where everything is seen as one and sacred. For if we can learn to see that those whom we would perceive as dark or evil are in fact serving us, by providing experiences that are essential on our path to self-realization, then perhaps it is also possible to see that in fact they are us, or at least an essential part of us, just as we are a part of them. This vision of oneness is reflected in the words of Rumi when he says, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right-doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make sense anymore." With this perspective, one may realize that all of the world's heightened chaos and conflict isn't actually the creation of one diabolical individual or organization, but rather in accordance with the universal wisdom, as above, so below. It is an exact reflection or projection of the mounting conflict raging in the hearts and souls of the collective mind, where so many individual souls, who are wishing to move beyond this meaningless material existence, still feel powerless to do so. However, when we see the destruction of these systems which will no longer be able to support our needs, and when our leaders whom we have relied on to keep us safe start a war that we realize could destroy the entire planet, those who have felt trapped by the system will finally let go of their dependence on it and seek a new way of living that is more in line with their inner heart's urge for peace and harmony. And thus, through the actions of those whom we would perceive to be dark or evil, we will have learned and been freed. And in accordance with the perfection of this divine plan, our ability to love and recognize our oneness with those whom some would call our oppressors will be the power that sets those oppressors free as well. For the prophesied return of the purifier will open up the book of life, where the thoughts and deeds of every living being throughout creation are recorded for all to see. And here every soul will have the opportunity to experience the suffering that it has caused through the course of its life. And as those whom many would call their oppressors scan through their experiences, they will see how the hurt that they have caused is met with hate, anger, and with thoughts of revolution and murder, and they will feel justified in their cruelty. However, as they continue their search deeper into the book of life, they will come across those who, even though they suffered greatly at their hands, have felt only love. And it will be at this moment that those souls which previously knew only hate will learn the spiritual truth that a person can be redeemed just as surely by getting love as they can by giving love. And by thus learning to love and be loved, we will rise above the challenges of this dark night of the soul to meet the dawn of the glorious resurrection together as one. With this glimpse of the dawning rays of our rising unity consciousness, let us now consider when and how the first major events might unfold that will bring us to such a profound experience of oneness with everything, that we will come to the full realization of every level of creation. For it is our intention that by presenting the potential dates when things might unfold, that when people see some of these first events actually happen, it will enable them to believe that the material world is on the verge of collapse and thereby inspire them to let go of their attachment to it. And in a world where so many have no idea that these changes are coming, we would encourage those who have awakened to the whats and whys of events to resist the urge to focus primarily on how one may save themselves, and to consider instead what one may do to help others. For if one is consumed with the need to save themselves through these days of great change and challenge, they will be driven primarily by the energy of fear. Whereas if one is able to turn their focus towards helping others, they will change their motivation and therefore their vibration from one of fear to one of love. And it will be this love for all and faith in the divine purpose of all that is occurring that enables one to move through all of the challenges of the coming days in relative grace and ease. That said, there are some interesting indicators revealed in Kalaman's research of the Mayan calendar that show the potential dates when things might unfold. Of particular interest are the periods known as the fifth day and the fifth night that occur on each step of the pyramid. For it is understood that during the fifth day of each underworld, we typically experience a global event that marks a great leap forward towards our deeper understanding of the consciousness being learned on that level. And past trends show that typically the fifth night brings a great global challenge, which then gives the collective mind the opportunity to put the lesson it has just learned into practice. Looking at events that occurred during the fifth day and night over the past few steps on the pyramid, we can see that during the national underworld, the positive values and teachings of Christ were followed in the fifth night by the appropriation and perversion of those teachings during the Dark Ages. While during the planetary underworld, the fifth day brought us World War I, along with the automation of industry and the expansion of our perception of reality through Einstein's theory of relativity. The end of the fifth day was marked by the beginning of the Great Depression, which then continued through the fifth night, accompanied by World War II and the use of the first nuclear weapons against Japan. During the galactic underworld, the fifth day saw a profound shift in consciousness towards peace and harmony, with a tremendous increase in the number of spiritual groups sprouting up all over the world. While the fifth night was marked by the 2008 collapse of the American and European economies, which now brings us to our current step on the pyramid, known as the universal underworld. Based on this understanding of the unique energies and experiences that typically accompany the fifth day and the fifth night, one could expect that the major shifting of consciousness and world events would begin during these periods. Thus, it is possible that during the fifth day, which extends from July 31st to August 18th, 2011, we could see a creative expression of unity consciousness manifested through an event as spectacular as the presentation of some major medical or technological breakthrough created to benefit mankind. It is also possible that during this time we could see the beginning of another Great Depression, as we saw at the end of the fifth day of the planetary underworld. This is a very likely possibility, which could be catalyzed by the flagging space in the U.S. market, caused by the Americans having recently reached its $14.3 trillion debt ceiling, which could result in a crippling of the American economy, which could then fully collapse during the fifth night, which extends from August 18th to September 5th. During the fifth night, it is very possible that an economically fragile America could be hit by another staged terrorist attack, which would be the final blow that causes the collapse of the American economy and sends the economies of the world into a downward spiral. And just as we saw during the fifth day and night of the planetary underworld, the world's slump into another Great Depression would be followed by the start of another Great War, that of World War III. The dates of the events following the fifth day and night, including the fake alien invasion, 3 days of darkness, and the major earthquakes caused by the passing of Comet Elenin, are impossible to guess apart from saying that they will probably happen near the end of September. For it is our belief that things will occur faster than anyone can imagine, as hinted by the age-old prophecy that the end will come like a thief in the night. And for this reason, we would encourage all of our viewers to use the decline of the economy or any major event that might occur during the fifth night as the sign by which they will choose to let go of their attachments to the material world and its systems, and to leave the cities and return to nature, where the mountains, waters, and trees will support their return to the original way mentioned in the Hopi prophecies. For we are told in the prophecy of the blue and red Kachinas that life will be so bad in the cities that many will choose to leave this plane, some in whole groups, and that only those who return to the values of the old ways will be able to find peace of mind. For it is in returning to a simple life with and upon the earth, amongst our forest and mountains, that we shall find relief from the madness that will be all around us. That said, it is essential to understand that we are always exactly where we are meant to be, when we are meant to be there. And even if one cannot make it out of the city, it is important to remember that one can always connect to the earth and its elements by turning their thoughts to a glass of water, or the ground beneath their feet, or a tree, a lit candle, or even a light breeze. And so with this understanding of when events might unfold, let us consider how the increasing intensity of world events has been divinely orchestrated to bring all of us to such a profound experience of oneness that we would come to the full realization of every level of creation by October 28th, as suggested in Kalman's research of the Mayan calendar. According to Kalman's work, the focus for learning during the ninth wave from March 9th to October 28th, 2011 is unity consciousness. And therefore it is thought by some that the increasing intensity of events that are set to unfold in the next few months will move us through progressively deeper experiences of unity and oneness, which would peak sometime around October 28th, when the Earth will return into the higher vibrational electromagnetic field of the purifier. For many, this process will be experienced as an expansion of consciousness, which extends from the personal to the universal, where one's first experience of unity might occur through a realization or connection that happens within oneself. Next, an increase in the intensity of world events, such as food shortages and the collapse of the economy, could inspire people to expand their understanding of unity beyond the self, by encouraging them to seek out other like-minded friends and individuals with whom they might share resources and understanding that could help them meet the increasing demands of the moment. Further increase in the intensity of the global situation caused by massive earthquakes and other global disasters could cause a further expansion of the concept of unity by inspiring people to extend their caring beyond people in their own social sphere, resulting in a genuine caring and collaboration amongst strangers that comes from the realization that we are all in this together. Further intensification of the global situation through events as extreme as a fake alien invasion and the complete collapse of world systems could then cause some to perceive the formation of a new world order as the ultimate expression of unity, while others will see ultimate unity as the mobilization of the world's citizens in a revolution against such a system. However, as people across the face of our broken and battered planet rise to the peak of polarity, with the forces of the New World Order grasping for control, and the masses rising in revolt, the Earth's return into the higher vibrational field of the purifier around October 28, 2011, will bring the collective mind to a fully realized experience of unity consciousness, which will show the world that true unity is not the desire to gather large masses of like-minded people to support or oppose an idea, but rather true unity is the soul's realization that all is one already. For the passing of the purifier with its phenomenal gravitational and electromagnetic forces will cause such intense shifting of our outer and inner experiences of reality that we will have one of two choices. We may choose to see ourselves as separate from the events we are experiencing, which could rise to such a peak of intensity that our increasingly fearful desire for things to change would drive us insane. Or we could choose with love and faith to surrender our personal will to the divine will of the Tao and realize that all that we are experiencing is a projection of our minds and that it is divine. And in accordance with the divine wisdom given to us through the Tibetan Book of the Dead, we will see that recognition is simultaneous with liberation. For just as the soul's journey through the bardos encourages one to recognize that everything we experience is a divine projection of our mind, so too are we urged to realize the same during our brief journey through the material world. Although such spiritual seeking is met with little success in today's world because of the extreme difficulty in reaching integration in a vibrational field that is as psychically polluted as that of the Earth, during the revolving course of the cosmic cycles, there arise periods when great redeeming energies return to the Earth, allowing the process of integration to proceed more easily and rapidly. All around the world there exist ancient cultures and wisdom keepers whose texts and teachings reveal knowledge of such periods having happened in the past, while some even hold prophecies telling of the impending return of these forces of salvation. However, here again it is essential to understand that this returning Redeemer is not a physical personality of majestic stature residing somewhere outside the dense material world, but is essentially an impersonal divine unifying consciousness manifesting itself as light, love, and wisdom in a field of cosmic rays emanating from the center of our galaxy via the purifier. Thus the return actually refers to the Earth's cyclic re-entry into the purifier's higher vibrational field, at which point we are anointed by its divine light and influence. And it is because of this divine anointing that the return is widely referred to as the return of Christ, which stemming from the Greek word Christos means the anointed one. Thus we may see that Christ's consciousness is not exclusively available to Jesus, but is available to every human being who experiences the infinite, changeless reality that lies at the core of each one of us. For just as the Christ through Jesus displayed only faith and love during experiences of great suffering, so too will all those who wish to follow Christ's narrow path be urged to face the challenges of the coming months with faith, love, and wisdom, willingly sacrificing their fears and attachments to the self, so that they may open themselves up to the fully expanded realization that all is one and divine. For in this period of purification, the mirror of truth will be held up for all to see at last, what we have become and which master we have truly served. And when humanity is left with no other choice but to face the truth and ourselves in utter honesty, to look, to see, and to weep in genuine repentance, then can love open our hearts and reveal to us the way of true devotion and holiness. It is thus through humble surrender that each person is given the opportunity to hasten their own spiritual growth and simultaneously transition into a bright new era. So how might our interaction with the purifier bring us to such a profound experience of oneness with everything, that we would come to the full realization of every level of creation by October 28, 2011? The answer to this may be summed up in one word: vibration. For if NASA's information suggesting that Comet Elenin is or is being followed by a supermassive brown dwarf star is true, then we will be greatly affected by the extremely high vibration of its electromagnetic field upon passing, whose frequencies will be so great that some people say they could alter our experience of reality by raising our vibrations to the point where we will experience other dimensional planes, as evidenced in the Hopi prophecy of the blue and red Kachinas, where it says, When the purifier comes, many things will begin to occur that will not make sense, for reality will be shifting back in and out of the dream state. Things unseen will be felt very strongly. There will be many strange beasts upon the earth in those days, some from the past and some that we have never seen. The nature of mankind will appear strange in these times we walk between the worlds, and we will house many spirits even within our bodies. After a time we will again walk with our brothers from the stars and rebuild this earth, but not until the purifier has left its mark upon the universe. That said, it is widely accepted in both the realms of science and spirituality that the human body, comprised mostly of water, is a conductor of sound, light, and information, all of which travel through our bodies as vibrations. Aware of this, we may now imagine that as the higher vibrations of the purifier move through us, they will cause our bodies to resonate with their frequency. Thus, as our vibrations rise and match the never-before-experienced frequency levels of the purifier, we will be able to perceive higher levels of the electromagnetic spectrum, at which point we will be able to perceive all of the sounds, images, and entities that exist within our newly achieved range of frequencies. Vibrating at this level, the spirits of the dead may be seen and heard, rising to meet the coming dawn, as humanity expands its senses and consciousness to perceive the forgotten fifth element of ether, that which connects us all. Here, too, we may perceive the parallel realms of the astral plane and share encounters with mythical beings, all of whom will attend us and the rest of humanity as our increasing frequency brings us all closer to a collective experience of oneness. As we reach the peak of frequency, the voices of others that we have begun to hear in our heads will rise in numbers and climax at the point when we hear all the thoughts of creation and experience all actions as if they were our own. So too may it seem like all the events of these lives are happening at once, and that all places are this place. As one may imagine, this expanded perspective of oneness could be quite an intense experience. And for those who choose to hold on to their knowledge of what is and is not possible, such events will threaten to shatter their psyches, as every sense is simultaneously overloaded. Thoughts of good or evil will give rise to those of their dualistic opposites and attract like energies that further threaten the traveler's ability to stay safe and sane. And here we will have a choice, to either clutch to the banks of that raging river and be dashed against the rocks, or to simply let go and surrender to the roar and the flow. Some will try to hide from this experience. Some will try to escape it. Some will welcome it. Some will recognize it. And some will have known all their lives that the end would be like this, exactly like this. As the truth of oneness, followed by divine love, returns to our ailing planet, those who love the truth and who are therefore consecrated to serving the truth without compromise or self-concern will greatly rejoice at the shattering of the illusion of separation. And when at long last humanity is awakened to its oneness with the earth and all living things, we will raise our voices as one and join the eternal song of the universe. Have faith, for we are awakening as one.